Welcome, everybody, to episode number 4 of our podcast, Motivate to Move. I am John Lygroff.
And I'm Diane Trites.
And we can just listen to a little bit of sunset as it goes off into the distance. You got to love running at sunset, isn't that right, Diane? I know it's your favorite time to run.
It is my favorite time to run.
Hence why we picked the sunset music. Let's drop the sunset for now and talk to our very special guest, Vernon Bennett, who runs down the Route 114 in the heat in the early mornings, trying to get ready for his first marathon, got screwed over by the virus, and is attempting in a few weeks to do his first marathon. Vernon Bennett, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm very privileged to be here.
Now, Vernon, just want to get to know you a little bit, and I'm sure that our listeners would like to know you a little bit more. For those that don't, can you just give us a little bit of a bio about yourself, a short Cole's Notes version about anything? Start wherever you want. Go right ahead.
I grew up in a place called New Horton, and the old adage of two-room schoolhouse. I went to one for 2 years. Or 3 years, 3 years at Harvey School. It was a big one. One teacher for 2 rooms. From there, we went over to the big school in Riverside, and then high school went to Hillsborough, and graduated out of Hillsborough in 1976. Went to work right out of high school for a trucking company. And I've been working in the industry for the last 43 years. I guess the only other thing, I'm married, 2 children. They're both grown up, and they both live in the area. That's about it. I've lived in Albert County all my life.
So I've known him a long time, since I was a child. One of my first memories of Vernon, and I'm going to say this, and he's probably going to deny that he even remembers it, but one of my first memories of Vernon was him chasing me with a turtle, and he, me and my sisters. Vernon was chasing me and my sisters with a turtle, and he told me it was a snapping turtle. And I don't know how old I was, but I've never forgotten that. Now, Vernon, you can't deny doing that. Even though you probably don't remember.
That must have been our pet turtle.
So that is my earliest memory of my relationship with Vernon.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was actually pretty cool. Pretty cool. So, Vernon, we might as well start talking about you today. You're a runner. When did you actually start running?
Well, the first introduction to running, this is going to date myself too. I don't know how many remember, in 1987 or 88, when they had the Labatt's 24-hour relay, 24 hours in June relay.
I remember that.
When they had teams of 10 and you ran for 24 hours at Centennial Park. Mm-hmm. And we put a team in through work. You run laps around the Centennial Park, and they had music and beer gardens all 24 hours, so things couldn't go wrong.
Yeah, right.
I was never involved in that, but I do remember it, and I know friends of mine did it.
It was a party.
And how many people were on that relay team?
Each team had 10, and there was over 120 teams, I think.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
There was a lot of people, yep. But that was my first introduction.
So how long would the laps be on that? Would they be a kilometer long? How long was it?
Oh, you ran through the park by the where the pool used to be, up that hill, and out to St. George, and then down St. George to the entrance of the park.
Right.
So basically, then you just hand it off, and somebody else took over. But
and the next guy would do it, and then you would have another turn again. So all night long, all day and all night.
Yep, but with the beer garden going on, by the end of it, there's only about 3 or 4 people in each team that were running.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was down there one year cheering it on, watching it one evening. I stayed there really late. It was quite a spectacle. It's quite a few years ago, but there was a lot of people involved in that. I was really impressed with it.
Yeah, that was the first year they had actually 24 hours, and they changed it over to 12, I think it was, just for logistics reasons.
I believe you're right. And then they just stopped doing it, didn't they?
Yeah. That was my first introduction, and then early 2017 was when I really started to pick it up some. Mm-hmm. Later in 2017, I found out I had to go in for surgery. So that put a kibosh on the running. I think I was laid up from September till the end of December, not doing much of anything.
Your life happens. So then when you were recovered, picked up where you left off and started running again?
Yep. Early 2017 or 2018, I guess I started running a little more. And I guess the biggest reason was just before I went for the operation, I started gaining a little weight, midlife weight.
Did you achieve the result that you were hoping for? Did you lose a few pounds through running?
I did actually when I started in 2017, early 2018. I actually changed my diet too. We went on I don't know if you heard of the keto diet.
Yes.
It's a fat-based diet, basically. No carbs, no sugar, no starches.
And that went well for you?
That really helped. Yep. We're still on today after 2 years. Yep.
Wow, you've been on the keto diet for 2 years. Good for you.
Yep.
Just let me ask you, because I had a question about your diet. Now, you say you've been on the keto diet for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have to make any changes at all to the keto diet for your marathon training? Or is it all strictly exactly the same as it was 2 years ago with maybe some minor changes?
The training is no different, except on the long runs every now and then I will do like 30 to 50 grams of carb before the run. And then some of the gel packs during the run, but during regular training, I don't take any of that. It's just strictly on the keto, just for the little sudden burst of energy at the start.
Right. No, that makes sense. I was just curious.
So what was your very first race, Vernon?
I'm trying to think. I know I had a few little ones, but the one that really sticks in my mind is the 2018 law enforcement run.
The torch run.
The torch run in the 3 inches of slush.
I remember that.
Diane and I remember that well.
Yeah. That was the first 10K, I think, and it was a rough one.
That was a rough one. I remember that. John and I both ran that one as well. And I have a picture, and I'm going to share it on our Facebook page, of John and I running, and then Vernon, you're right behind us. There's a picture of the three of us.
I think it was, yeah.
So I'm going to share that for our listeners so they can just see how much fun we were having that day. That was pretty tough. Freezing rain and then slush. I was ankle deep in slush.
It was brutal.
Yeah.
My feet were frozen for the first, 10 minutes or so, like absolutely frozen because I was in ice, slushy water. But then once I got going, I was fine. But the first little bit was, but I mean, it's for a great cause, right? So that was supporting Special Olympics, right?
Right. Yep.
So that was for a great cause.
What other great causes have you run for, Vernon? Because I heard through the grapevine that you've run for more than one. Is that true?
Yep. Three Fathers. I've done that twice in the actual and one virtual.
Maybe we should give our listeners just a little bit of a backstory on that, because anybody that's not local may not know the significance of that run. Do you want to tell how that started, Vernon, or do you want me to?
Yep, I can. Yep. Well, it started after the three officers were shot in Moncton in June. When was that? 2014. Not long ago.
I believe it was 2014.
Yeah, it was 6 years ago. Yep. The run was in their honor, and it's significant for me because we lost our son-in-law in 2017.
He was an RCMP officer.
He was an RCMP officer, yes. Yep. So that was another thing that sort of slowed 2017 down for running, but been doing that one as often as I can.
I have participated in the Three Fathers Memorial Run, and it is so overwhelming. It just gives me goosebumps to be there and see all the support there is for the RCMP officers. It's just very, very heartwarming.
We have a pretty good turnout.
A great turnout, and it's wonderful to see the support of the officers.
Yeah.
I would just like to know, Vernon, do you plan on running the Three Fathers run as many years as you keep on running? Are you going to do that every year?
Oh, I plan to, yes. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's understandable that obviously would have had a huge influence on your life, and
yeah,
makes a lot of sense to want to go down there and show your support, like many of us did, because it was a horrible thing that happened.
Yeah.
Yes, and I should mention that the reason this run came about was because the three officers that were shot and killed were all runners, were they not?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And one of the wives also ran with the running room running group. And so within a couple of weeks, some people organized this run, this 3K run in memory of these three officers. And how they managed to do that in 2 weeks, I don't even know. But the show of support that first year was phenomenal. And then I think every year it just grew. The first year, I think they called it 3K for Three Fathers. But then they changed it. They added distance, and I believe Now they offer a 5K and a 10K.
And a 10K, yes. I didn't go the first year. The 2 years I went, they did offer the 10K. It was the first time they offered the 10Ks.
The money that is raised through that goes for bursaries. Is that correct?
Scholarships and bursaries, yes.
Scholarships and bursaries, yes.
A great cause, then, absolutely. Let's change it up just a little bit. I want to ask you a question. Sorry, I went over this a little bit in the beginning. I was just going on about how Diane loves running in the evenings. I mean, she was one of the first things that she told me when I met her, how she loves to run in the evenings, especially around sunset time. Now, you met up with us on the Route 114 last Saturday and ran with us for a while during your marathon training.
Mm-hmm.
That was early in the morning. Now, what is your favorite time of the day to run? Do you like running in the mornings? Are you more of an evenings person? Does it just not matter? And why would that be?
I enjoy the mornings more than the evenings, I think. I just, for the sunrise, enjoy that. And especially along the waterfront, along the boardwalk.
And there's a beautiful sunset there at that same location.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it neat how we're all programmed differently? Like you like to run at sunrise. I like
to run in the dark.
I do too. I like running in the dark, not trail running in the dark. So, Vernon, you were training for the Fredericton Marathon. This would have been your very first marathon.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How was training going for that?
Going very well, yes. I joined a clinic in January 1st of the year, and it was going good. We're just getting into we just finished a 29K run the week before everything shut down.
I was also registered for that marathon as well.
All three of us are in the exact same boat.
Yeah, give me another year to practice.
Do you plan to run the marathon distance before Fredericton?
Oh, I hope to. I hope a couple, hopefully, but actually there's one week from this Saturday, August 22nd. I'll turn 62. So I'm planning a 42 at 62.
And you're going to run your first marathon at age 62. So how come you decided now to run your first marathon at age 62? Like what is it that motivated you to do that particular thing? Like that's quite a feat to run a marathon, and it's got to be difficult at 62, especially in the dead of summer like this.
Yeah, it's warm, but I'd planned to do it for the last 2 years. But like I said, life happens, and it just didn't get. I guess if marathons come up at times I wasn't available, or something would come up, so I never actually got to run one. But at least this summer I've got to run a bunch of half marathons anyway.
And have you been? You say you've been thinking about this for a couple of years?
Yep, I'd planned to do my first marathon before it was 60, but that didn't work, and then 61, and so we're hoping at 62.
So you're going to run that on your birthday or
Yep.
a week after your birthday? On your birthday. Okay.
On my
That's
birthday,
fantastic.
yeah.
What a great way to celebrate your birthday, Diane, to run your marathon.
I think that's wonderful. Do you plan to do this all by yourself? Is it going to be a solo run or?
Solo, I imagine, yes. Yep.
Because I know if you reached out, I know a few people that would run part of it with you. And I do know that if you were looking for company for any part of that, you could just reach out, and I'm sure at least half a dozen people would run part of the route with you. What do you have planned for the route?
I'm planning, hopefully, the riverfront where it's nice and flat, as long as it's not real brutally sunny and hot, because there's not much shade out there.
And that riverfront can be windy as well.
Yeah, wind. I don't mind the wind a whole lot.
And I suppose you're going to go out at dark o'clock to start, aren't you?
Might even leave right from home here and run out to 114 and then out on the riverfront. Hoping to finish at the running room.
So this is quite a journey for you, especially at 62. I mean, it's a journey for anybody to run their first marathon. Let's not kid ourselves. That's not an easy thing to do.
No.
And people don't just get up one morning and go, yeah, I feel like running a marathon today, and then start running marathons. That's just not how it works.
It doesn't work that way, no.
Even though certain movies would like us to maybe believe that's how it happens, it's not how it works. Do you consider this a journey of getting to this point for running a marathon? Does it appeal to you in any way, or do you hope that this motivates other people? Or is it just something for you in your own personal thoughts?
No, I sort of hope it motivates other people. I've been, like you said, it's been a journey, because I know when I started, My lane to the first stop sign is 5 kilometers, or 5 kilometers, half a kilometer. I just died about 4 times before I got to the first stop sign. So you just got to keep going.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the way you have to look at it. You have to keep on going, especially when you're doing marathon training.
Yeah.
How long have you bbeen training this year for this marathon?
Well, since January 1st.
Right since January 1st, right?
Well, there was once we heard the marathon Freddie had been shut down, there was a little sort of a disappointment lull, I suppose, where you wonder if you want to keep training or just do like a regular running or what. But I decided to keep up the training after a couple of weeks.
So a short lull, and then you said, hey, I need to get back at this. It's time for me to do my training. I can't stop now. I've come this far, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I know I've trained for a marathon, and has John, and I think we would both agree that training for a marathon has changed our lives.
Oh, absolutely.
Now you're doing a lot of your training and you're running solo by yourself. And I know
Yep.
sometimes you do join a few other people because our running group is just beginning to start to run a few people together at a time. And we're
Right.
getting back into that slowly. When you're out there all by yourself for 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever, what do you think about? Do you listen to music? Do you just listen to the thoughts that are in your head?
No, I've never much listened to music when I'm running on the treadmill. I listen to music, but not when I'm out running. I just sort of clear my head and sort of think of the run, I guess. Like how far you're going to get before you get halfway, and
Do you crunch the numbers? Are you always thinking about the numbers? Okay, I've got 10 kilometers down. I've got 10 more to go.
actually, yep. As soon as you hit the halfway mark, you realize that every other step you're closer to home now.
That's exactly the same way I think. Every step after half, hey, right on. I'm over halfway there. I'm good. How often do you run down the 114, Vernon? I mean, you caught up with us there. Do you run that route often? Because it's a fairly busy road. And does that bother you in any way that it is busy, maybe loud, maybe hard to concentrate? I know there's a lot of debris in some parts of the road. The weeds are growing up on the side. Things are in your way.
Weeds are getting a little big now, but it's not too bad. You're very self-conscious of oncoming traffic, but I guess I keep as far to the left as I can without going in the ditch. But
No, I was just going to mention to any of our listeners who are not familiar with the area, Route 114 is the main road between Moncton and Alma and Fundy Park. It's a very narrow road, heavy traffic. There's a little bit of a gravel shoulder, but even the shoulder's washed away in a lot of spots, isn't it?
yes, you gotta be careful on the shoulders too, or you end up in the ditch.
Yes, so it's something you really, really have to be paying attention to. So many things.
It's true. And there's asphalt that's broken on the side of the road. And it's not hard to lose your concentration for a moment. Maybe you're talking to the person in front of you or behind you, or maybe your mind just wanders for a minute, like it does with me when I'm running. And you trip over a piece of asphalt, you could fall down, hurt yourself. It wouldn't take a whole lot for it to happen.
No, or twist an ankle or anything. Yep.
Or anything. And you really have to be mindful of the traffic because the traffic is very heavy now with the summer season. A lot of people are heading to and from Fundy Park, and you really
There's a lot of big vehicles on the road heading to and from Fundy Park.
And I find too a lot of vehicles do move over if there's nothing coming the other way.
That's true.
They'll give you quite a wide berth. There's a few that don't, but
I've noticed that most people are respectful.
yeah.
But then you have the occasional one that is not respectful, and that's the guy you have to watch out for, right?
Yeah, I think they'll be respectful as long as they see the runners trying to not running like that quarter of the way on the asphalt. They're actually off the asphalt as much as they can.
That's a great point, Vernon. That's a great point.
It goes both ways. As
Yep.
runners, we need to be respectful that road is for the cars to drive on. And in return, I think they respect us if we're, keeping a safe distance from the pavement when they're going by. Hot weather, cold weather. What's your preference? Would you rather run when it's hot, or would you rather run when it's cold?
Actually, cold. I never ran much in the winter until I joined the marathon group, and they run I don't think there was a night they canceled for a training session, whether it was snowing or, although it was pretty good weather this winter for running.
What's the coldest weather you've ever run in?
I think we did one training on a Sunday. It was minus 22, I think.
Minus 22, a nice balmy winter afternoon, right? Or morning.
Yep.
A nice maritime Sunday morning run, minus 22 degrees.
A brisk run.
Let me get out there with my long johns on and my parka, and let's go run to a bunch of kilometers in negative 22 degrees.
But I was surprised how little you've got to wear to stay warm when you're running.
Do you have any specific winter running gear? Like, have you gone out and bought anything? Said, you know what, I really could use this for this winter running.
Just like moisture wicking long johns and wind breaking outer shell. That's about it.
So not a tank top and shorts?
No.
Not until at least February when it warms up to -5, right?
-5 for that, yep.
I'm usually not in shorts until it's at least plus double digits usually. So
the heat has been brutal this summer.
So how do you adjust to that? I mean, you have to stay hydrated. You've been getting out really early in the mornings. I've seen some of your posts on Facebook, and you're out there in the dark before the sun comes up.
During the week, usually before dark, the runs. But when was it? Yesterday, I had to go out. I had to go out last night, so I couldn't run then. So I think it was 32 when I went out for the run yesterday.
Oh, wow. How far did you run in that?
5.5, I think it was.
How did it feel?
Not bad. Like, slowed down and drank lots of water.
And that's the key. That's the key, is to slow your pace down.
Yep.
Do you carry all your water with you, or do you have any stored, or do you stop halfway? Or
no, I carry it. I got a hydration pack, and then for the short runs like that, I just use a belt with 2 little jugs on it. But
you really do need to have some hydration on you for sure. In these temperatures, it's just been a crazy hot summer for us.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's any other runners out there who are on keto. But the big thing about running with keto, you've got to have your electrolytes, salt.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Take the salt out. And first long run I did on the marsh when I was on keto, I had done 10, and I think I went 20. I think it might have been my first 21. I said, I'll just take water with me. Well, when I got home, it wasn't good.
Really? So what do you use for salt? Do you have salt tablets, or do you just have a salty snack, or what do you use?
Just like a salted gel, or a Gatorade who's got the electrolytes in it.
Do you have any idea how long you're going to keep on running, Vernon? Or have you ever thought about that? Like, I'm going to run for 5 more years or 10 more years, or are you just, hey, I'm going to go as long as I feel like it, or as long as I can? Could you expand on that a little bit?
I think I'll probably hopefully go as long as my body let me go, or until the doctor says not to run anymore.
Well, hopefully that doesn't happen anytime soon. Yeah, exactly.
For any of us.
Let's just say, Vernon, let's go a little bit hypothetical here. Let's say your doctor said, you know what, Vernon, I really don't think you should be running anymore, and I would suggest that you look to do something else. Is there some other activity that you would think about taking up?
Probably cycling.
Right. Cool. That's really interesting. Have you cycled before?
Yep. When I first started tried to run there in 2017, 2016, I was cycling and running at the same time, sort of alternate between.
Do you cycle much now, or?
No, I haven't. I've wanted to get out this summer, but so far I haven't.
And this is probably a good time, since I was just mentioning about going to your doctor, that if a person is going to start any kind of exercise routine, marathon, 5K, 10K, sit-ups, push-ups, weightlifting, whatever it is, tennis, I don't care, please go see your doctor and make sure your doctor says, yes, it's okay for you to do this. It's very important.
Yeah.
Especially in this heat.
Absolutely. And I just want to make this comment that there seems to be a cycling boom this summer. When I'm out,
absolutely, the bikes are hard to get a hold of.
Right, and when I'm out running or walking on the Riverfront Trail here in Riverview, there are so many cyclists out there, and families. There's families with their children cycling, and it just seems to really have caught on this summer.
Yeah,
people are very active. And it's good to see people out there using the trail and being active for sure.
And like John said, there's some people at work said you can't buy a bicycle, or it might be able to now, but earlier you couldn't buy a bicycle in town from any of the bike shops. They were all out.
That's what I understand. It's been a good year for the bicycle business, I guess, hasn't it?
Yeah.
If they can keep up with the demand, there's more demand than there is supply. Once again, it's that same old supply demand problem.
Yeah.
And it's great to see people being physically active and being out and enjoying the fresh air and the exercise.
Well, you work hard, Vernon, and you train hard. I mean, you're definitely motivated to move, and that's why you're on this podcast, because you're doing something really tough. I mean, it's not easy to run a marathon. There's no way it's easy to run it, and it's definitely not easy in the summer, which is something you're attempting to do. And I know how difficult that is because I have my worst marathon times when I'm trying it in the summer. The heat absolutely destroys me. Have you been training enough, you think, in this heat that it may not affect you as much? How do you feel about your upcoming marathon?
I'm hoping the long range forecast shows we're supposed to drop down to 26 or 27 during the day. So hopefully I'll be done before that hits. But I've been doing a lot of high temperature training just to try to get used to it.
That's right. And I know your body can adapt.
Oh, for sure. And do you have a goal time in mind, or is your goal is just to finish the distance and however long it takes?
First one's just to finish the distance and build on it from there.
And that's a great goal. I think that's the goal most of us set for our very first marathon. Reassess and learn from it, and and just go on and do the next one even better, right?
Right.
I was asked on my first one, "Oh, what's your set time?" I said, "If I cross the finish line crawling," I said, "I'd be happy. I don't care."
Yes, I know. My first one, I had two goals. The first goal was to reach the start line uninjured, and my second goal was to reach the finish line standing up. So that was my goal for the first marathon.
I think those are good goals.
Yeah.
So you'll be all ready then to go in Fredericton in May next year if they have the run. So hopefully they have the run, and it sounds like we're all going to see you there by the sound of things.
I am so excited to think that the three of us are going to be there for that.
I can't wait.
It's going to be a great weekend for sure.
Be a nice weekend.
And let's hope that everything has settled down by then, and we have returned to some semblance of normalcy by then, and we're able to.
I have my fingers and toes crossed, and I'm telling you, it's not easy to cross my toes in those running shoes.
It is not easy to cross toes, that's for sure.
Vernon, if you could pick any spot in the world where you could run another marathon, a destination spot, a spot that you've always wanted to go to and thought, man, it would really be so cool to go there and run a marathon while I'm there. Do you have any place in mind where you'd like to do that?
I think it'd probably be Scotland.
Now, that would be a lot of fun.
Just a nice scenery, and might be a few hills, but be a little cooler probably.
It would be probably similar to Albert County, wouldn't it?
Yes.
I think it would. Have you ever been there before, Vernon?
No.
So you'd like to go there, and hey, why not, as you're going there, go and run a marathon while you're at it, right?
Right.
I think that would be fantastic, and I hope that you will be allowed to travel soon and can actually make that happen. So I know you do a lot of your training runs solo, but sometimes you do run with a few people. And I think you would agree that when we're out running together, the conversations can be
colorful.
Colorful, okay. And sometimes we share things on a run that we wouldn't normally share with other people. People tend to be a little more open and communicate a little more. Mm-hmm. And what happens on a run stays on the run. That's the rule of thumb, is what happens on a run stays on the run. If you could choose one celebrity or an athlete go out for a run with and have a conversation with them, past or present, who would you want to run with?
That's a Dwayne Johnson, The Rock.
I love Dwayne Johnson. So why would you choose him?
He was a pretty good runner on Jumanji.
True enough. Man, he's just an all-round great guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I don't know who I would pick. But now that Vernon mentions that, I would love when you and Dwayne go out for a run. I want in on that because I think that would be so cool.
Maybe we should invite Dwayne to be on the podcast.
There.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine? Maybe we'll have our people contact his people.
Yeah, our people is me and you, Diane.
And do dinner.
Yeah, we'll do dinner remotely. That's what it'll be.
All right. Did we cover all the questions except for our last signature question? Do you have anything else?
I want to ask Vernon. I mean, he gave a little bit of advice about the keto diet, which I thought was really interesting. But is there any other advice you would give to anyone that's considering running their first marathon? Is there anything else maybe that we haven't touched on, or maybe something that we did touch on that you wanted to elaborate on a little bit more?
Well, I think the biggest thing when I first started running was take a clinic.
Ah, yes, take a clinic to just learn how to do things or to be with other runners?
Because before I just ran by myself, and first clinic I went on for a long run, they were talking 10 and 1. I said, what is this 10 and 1 they're talking about? And then finally realized that run 10, walk 1, which is, I've never heard of that before, but it's interesting.
I think that's the Jeff Galloway method, and which has been adopted by the running room.
Yep.
I think all of the clinics do the 10 and 1.
And anything over the 10K, they all do the 10 and 1. Yep. And some of them even do that when they're running marathons.
Right. I think it's a great training tool.
Yep.
I think it is. It certainly has a lot of merit. When you go out training by yourself, when you're not running with the clinic, do you do 10 and 1s, or do you run continuous and just take breaks when you need it?
Depends on if I'm running a 21 training, like anything over that, I usually go 10 and 1, just with the slower pace. But anything up to 10 or 15, I usually run straight through.
So what advice would Vernon today give to 18-year-old Vernon when you were just out of school, you didn't know anything about anything? What advice would you give to him? And it doesn't have to be related to running or activity. It just any advice you can give to Vernon to live a good life.
I'd say if there's something you think you want to do, go for it. Don't let anybody try to talk you out of it.
Oh, that's great advice.
That is the best advice that we've heard here, I can tell you, because it's so important. Because so many people, I shouldn't say it that way, not so many people, but there can always be some people in your life or people that you know, work with, acquaintances with, whatever, that you'll say, oh, yeah, I want to try this. And like, oh, you can't do that. And they're so negative that they just, and you don't need to listen to those people all the time, for sure. If you think you got a shot at it, you want to do it, go out and do it. Why risk,
Yeah.
Last thing you want to do is not try it and then go, man, I really wish I had it done.
Then regret not trying. Yeah.
Exactly.
Have you ever had a wardrobe malfunction?
Well, the only one I had was I went for a run one night, and then I went out to the Petro-Cannon Riverview to buy a lottery ticket, and walked in the store and was going to leave. The cashier said, I think you got your shirt on backwards. The tag was sticking out. The tag sticking out the side of it.
People do that all the time. That's not embarrassing at all. I thought you were going to say you didn't have your pants on or something.
I thought you were going to say that you were sweating so bad that the person said it looked like that you wet yourself or something like that.
That could have been the last few runs.
Well, I think that's pretty much it. Now we're just going to try and get some sort of an ending here because Diane and I are awful at ending. So we're going to see if we can't get something a little better.
Oh, you're doing a great job.
Vernon, that was a fantastic interview. Diane and I both appreciate you very much for being on our podcast. Thank you very much for being here.
And thank you for having me.
And I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot about keto, and I think this has been a great interview for sure.
Definitely. So, That's
usually how our endings go.
Signature ending.
Usually I like to say something like this. I'm John Lygroff, and with Vernon Bennett. Wow. They're so hard to end. It's so hard to do.
See, and this is stuff. You don't hear
Oh,
this stuff. But by
in
the
the
time this is released, Vernon, you're not going to hear all this.
in the interest of
I
time, I think we're going to leave it there for tonight until our next podcast. So I'm your host, John Lagroff, and for Vernon Bennett and my co-host,
Diane Trice.
we'll leave it there until next time. Thank you for listening to Motivate to Move, and we can't wait to hear you again. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Vernon.